another day, another protest. Protesters gathered near the Bell Hotel in Epping Forest in Essex, where, of course, a migrant staying at a local asylum hotel has been charged with an alleged sexual offence against a local schoolgirl. Concerned locals down there today, there they are on your screen, they want the hotel shut down, and they include worried mums and dads who fear for their kids' safety. But counter-protesters from Stand Up to Racism turned up today and said they were there to make their voices heard against alleged far-right groups who they say first organised the protests. The groups were kept apart today by police and fencers, and this was the scene from the side of the protesters who want the hotel shut down. I thought the choice of flags on display gave the best kind of idea what kind of people frequented which groups.
A distinct difference here between the two sides is if you look at the flags, you've got England flags, Union Jacks, you've got ladies in flags draped around them, lots of patriotism, and then on the flip side, if you spin over there, a stark contrast, you've got trans flags. Trans flags, there was a Palestine flag I saw a bit earlier, RMT Union banners. So if you want to see a visual difference of the two sides here, the protesters and the counter-protesters, just look at the flags.
Anyway, we then decided to make our way to the counter-protest pen used by Stand Up to Racism. That's where things got a little bit more frosty.
OK, we managed to get inside the pen. The police let us in with our press passes. Let's speak to this guy here. Excuse me. Hi. I liked your sign. You want a quick chat? What does your sign say, sir? Tear down borders. It says tear down borders. Hi, guys. Oh, that's not very nice. We're just here to...
Get out of here! You're anti-fascista!
Hello, sir. Fancy a quick chat? We're just asking what you want to happen to the hotel.
No, you can talk to one of the chief stewards. You see the guys in the orange vest? Talk to them.
Oh, the orange dress. Thank you.
No, you're GBNews.
Yes. How you doing? You okay?
No, I don't want to talk to you, thank you.
Oh, you just came up to me.
Want you here?
You don't want us here?
No. Can you off, please?
That's okay.
If you want to talk to them, hang on, I'll find you someone.
You don't need to be so angry.
You know who you own? Why wouldn't we be so angry?
You don't need to be angry.
People die around the world.
Anyway, as you can see, I was directed to speak to one of the security organisers for Stand Up to Racism. I eventually found him and asked for a conversation, and this was his response.
You got a few minutes for a quick word?
Off you go, you're not welcome. You're not welcome.
Well, we're allowed in here, actually.
You're not welcome here.
I'm sorry, we're allowed in here.
No, you're not welcome
Are you
here,
from
mate.
Stand Up to Racism? Do you want a quick conversation? You're here on a counter-protest. Would you like a quick conversation? Thank you. We were told to speak to you, sir, as one of the organisers. Would you like a quick word? Seems strange that you come down here with a counter-protest. You've got a big security presence, big police presence, and you don't want to talk about things.
I must recommend that guy take a holiday soon, as he seemed a little bit agitated today for some reason. Anyway, we left the area and started making our way back onto the road so I could report live into Nana Akweer's GBNews show at around 4 p.m. Despite being silent when I tried speaking to them, the counter-protesters suddenly found their voice once we'd left their pen.
I did try and entertain conversation from the protesters. I spoke to one of the organisers who arranged this counter-protest today. I said, would you like a chat, a conversation about why you're here today? Would you like to try and make your point? But this is the response you get from the left.
Goodness me, not an original thought between them. We decided to call it a day soon after that, and that's when it became clear just actually how organised Stand Up to Racism were. They had their own 20-strong private security team with them, bouncers, security guards, some wearing their licences on their arms, escorting them all around Epping, finally into the pen and then back to the station. Take note of the waddling guy behind me in this next clip as I delivered my report to Nana Akweer. I didn't notice him at the time, but viewers at home rightly pointed out he seemed to be a little bit fixated with me.
The private security, so these guys here with security on his back there, the high-vis jackets with Stand Up to Racism, these are private security teams funded and employed by Stand Up to Racism. There's police flanking the groups as well. The counter-protesters now moving their way down back to the station. Big sign there, I'm not sure if you can see it, Nana and viewers, it says, don't let the far right divide us with their hatred and violence. Exactly, I would have liked to have asked a few people, how many migrants have you housed in your home? It's the age-old question, isn't it, to people who want open borders. The answer is normally, well, I haven't got any room. But unfortunately, as I said, when we got into the counter-protester pen, we were pretty much jumped on. And there is some, I'd say, shocking footage that I'm going to be showing on my show tonight. Let's see if we can... I was going to say, see if we can speak to anybody, but there's, as I said, these private security teams blocking them off.
Oh, he did seem to like me, didn't he? Good spot, viewers at home.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. And you can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% off your first eSIM plan ready for your trip so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when travelling so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan. You can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best. And then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GBNews. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
OK, let's get the thoughts of my panel now. Political commentator Matthew Goodwin-Freeman, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and the former editor of Labour List, Peter Edwards. Good evening, panel.
Evening.
Look, I just showed those clips really just to give a little flavour of the protests today, the counter-protesters. Should we discuss, though, on a wider scale, Chloe, about the Epping hotel situation and indeed the wider migrant hotel situation? Do you agree with the locals who say this hotel and other hotels should be shut down, or the counter-protesters are saying, you know, refugees welcome, open borders?
I absolutely agree with the parents. I mean, how can you possibly, as a mother or a father, find out that you have little girls being sexually assaulted in your area? Allegedly, and doing nothing about it. The parents, before this guy from the hotel was even charged, they had to set up a community group to talk about the dangers and protect each other's children, because there were, before this, plenty of them saying that there were dodgy men walking around looking at girls. You've got a bunch of guys together who have nothing to do. What do you expect them to get up to? And I think it's completely delusional for people to stand there in the counter-protests and call mothers who are just concerned about the well-being of their child. I'm sure that some of them aren't even normally that political and probably don't identify as right or left. It's normal to care about the safety of your child, and they're just saying, you're a bunch of fascists. It's unbelievable.
I mean, I feel a bit bored, really, of repeating this same old talking point, because I went to the Trump protests in Edinburgh on yesterday morning, and they were doing the same thing. These people just don't, Matthew, want to engage in a conversation, in a debate. I find the psychology behind it really confusing and a little bit weird, how you'd spend time and energy, you'd wake up in the morning, you pack your bags, you'd get ready, you go down to a protest, maybe travel hundreds of miles, and then when it comes to it, you have nothing to say. It just baffles my brain.
Well, don't you love the fact that the mums, the dads, the concerned parents, the concerned residents who don't normally come out and get involved in politics, taking this to the street to peacefully protest, are apparently the baddies, but then Antifa and Stand Up to Racism, you know, banners for the RMT, they're the good guys? I'm sorry, but the lovely, fluffy left are nothing but utter vile mobs. That's what you saw. And the fact is, you were very peacefully asking for, in interviews, asking for people's opinions, willing to listen to both sides of the debate. But there is never a debate with that lot. It is, they are right and you are wrong, regardless. And I'm sorry, but, you know, they've got banners saying refugees are welcome in Epping. Well, how many of them are going to take a refugee into their house? Because the answer is always, oh, I don't have space. I'm renting, I can't. I don't have space at all. Sorry, if you want refugees are welcome, take one into your house?
I did want to ask them, but I literally could not fire off one question without them either ignoring me or abusing me. Peter, what's your take on that? I mean, Matthew thinks that... What did you say? That
The lovely, fluffy left.
are full of hatred.
They're vile.
Would you go along with that sentiment?
They are.
Of course not, and I'm against lumping lots of different people into single groups, and I'm against insulting people, calling them vile mobs, and so on and so on. I think, first of all, anyone doing a protest or their representatives has to be willing to speak to the media. In my former life as a newspaper reporter, I went into many uncomfortable situations, and you need a spokesman or a spokeswoman that's going to be able to plead your case. A bit baffled why they didn't do that. Clearly understand, and by the way, I'm a parent, and I'm from Essex, just on the border of Epping. So there are strong feelings on both sides. I'm worried that there's intimidation, because there shouldn't be that ever. I'm worried that someone's been charged with an alleged sexual assault. There hasn't been a trial yet. What I didn't hear from either side, and there are only a couple of minutes of footage to be fair, I've not been down there to meet them, what I didn't hear from either side was a kind of solution about what they want to happen next, because we do have these types of hotels, and shunting them from one council area to another is just that. It doesn't really resolve the issue. What
would your solution be in, say, Epping, as a fairly local guy down there? Would you close this hotel, bearing in mind the alleged situation that's gone on?
Well, I don't live in Essex anymore, to be candid. I grew up there and have a lot of affection for the place. Closing one hotel and relocating it to the next borough along, I'm not sure what that achieves. And I'd be lying if I said I had the solution, because I think politicians of all parties have struggled because it's such an emotive and sometimes distressing issue.
There were, of course, many other protests over the past couple of nights. I think, was it Norfolk, Leeds and elsewhere, Bournemouth and Southampton?
Yep.
So this isn't just an isolated migrant hotel situation. Chloe, what would you do with migrant hotels?
I think you've got both long-term and short-term solutions, right? So the long-term solution is you need to stop the boats from coming in the first place. I mean, we've just had Trump visiting in Scotland, and he told Europe essentially, get your act together. And I'm sure if Trump was in charge, he would find a solution to
What
stop
would Trump
the
do,
boats
do you
from
reckon?
coming. Oh, well, I mean, look what he did with Colombia. He threatened them with huge tariffs and said, if you don't take these lot back. There are loads of things that you could do. In the short term, I do... well, first of all, they need to process claims quicker, whilst also making sure they vet people properly, not just rubber stamping everyone through. And second of all, yes, there are still going to be, in the short term, some people here, but you do need to consult local areas and make sure you don't put them close to a school. So, I mean, for example, the hotel that was opened in Altrincham in Manchester without telling anyone, it was right by both a primary school and an all-girls school. That is just stupid.
Well, there are two schools near this Bell Hotel in Epping. I was up there today looking at the maps. There's two local schools. Matthew, what would you do? What would Trump do and what would you do?
Well, I mean, Trump showed everybody what he would do. He got the flights and he got people out the country, so much so that the international community is saying, oh, you can't do it, you can't. I'm sorry, but that's what we've got to do. We've got to start putting our country first. We've got to start looking after British
nationals. That sounds
nationals.
a bit racist.
Well, no, it's not, actually. It's called looking after your country. It's called being patriotic, proud of Britain. I'm sorry, but we've seen the French are all too willing to slash a boat when the camera crews are there. Yeah. Fantastic. Let's make sure there's more camera crews and fund them with the £500 million to be slashing more Stanley knives with all the boats. I'm sorry, but we've got to be processing people faster. The Conservative Party did not deal with this issue. That's why we got kicked out of government. So I hope that the Labour government gets on with it and actually does start smashing the gangs. But the only thing they're doing at the moment is smashing the records. And the British public are fed up. And you're seeing this. We are seeing protests and protests all around the country. This is not going to go away. This is the major issue for the next couple of years up until the next general election. And it is down to Labour, with a humongous majority, to deal with this. They could deal with this tomorrow if they wanted to.
I mean, Patrick went to Calais for 24 hours and was able to find a bunch of gang members and their identities. It shows how easy it is.
Home Secretary.
What Matthew said is not correct, and Chloe hit on the truth earlier, that we all want to see fewer hotels, and that's because of the big backlog. And one of the things Labour committed to and have begun to do is investing in more Home Office officials who get through the backlog quicker, cut the caseload, so there's less need for the hotels in the first place. And that's not very political, it's kind of boring, but it's pragmatic, and it starts to get the job done.
What do you make of Angela Rayner's comments, though, warning about potentially a repeat of last summer's riots?
I sincerely hope it isn't that, but I think she's right to stress there are community tensions, and she's right to make the link between community tensions and poverty, because often particular council areas have had hotels or other types of processing facilities set up without consultation.
Yeah, and also the ones which are set up now, I say again, I said last night, Newcastle City Council put out a memo saying we will not reveal where migrant hotels are popping up out of the privacy concerns for its residents. West Oxfordshire Council had the same sort of thing. So just finally, last word, Matthew, should locals be consulted or at least informed that hotels are popping up?
It's all about,
out of courtesy.
It's all about safety. It's all about safety. Local residents should be able to feel safe in their communities. Yeah. And the fact that local residents aren't is what is leading to these peaceful protests that then are not peaceful as soon as Antifa and Stand Up to Racism turn up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the fact. And anyone trying to say anything else is just kidding.
Well, we've seen people on the right attack police officers. Which is inexcusable.
OK, and who's the bad ones today? Who was shouting racism to Ben? Who was shouting far-right fascist to GBNews?
Was that
the parents and protesters?
I've already said that journalists shouldn't be threatened or intimidated, and I say that, someone that's in the NUJ for many years.
So, Peter, to clarify, what happened when you had some rioting kicking off at one of the Epping protests is you had a bunch of peaceful protesters, then Antifa turned up and started causing some chaos, and then you had, like, local teenage thugs who probably weren't really that interested in the safety of the children and the politics, decided, oh, we heard something's kicking off, let's all go down and have some fun today. So, yes, it was not all Antifa, but they essentially... they drove all the teenagers to come down and essentially, go up against them.
Well, the two groups are separated, though, as we saw in the footage. The two groups are separated.
Now they are.
Now they are.
The police, after what happened that first time in Epping, they put all these fences up to keep people separate.
Yeah. It's sad that it's necessary, but it's kind of normal where you have a protest. We see it in central London, a protest and a counter-protest. You have brave officers keeping the group separate.
Yeah, I think there are 1,500, I was told by one copper, 1,500 coppers down there today in Epping.
Brilliant use of police resources when we could be going out there catching criminals and dealing with crime that's spiralling out of this country, but instead they've got to go there to keep Antifa in line.
Yeah, I will say though, the police did get stick for the bussing the protesters out of the protest last time. They were very good today, and they were good in Scotland yesterday, and they were good at the pro-Palestine march I was at some weeks ago as well. The police, in my first-hand experience, have been decent, and that's coming from somebody who is all too happy to stick the boot in when they deserve a bit of criticism. Anyway, panel, thank you very much.